This is 3 News Now, your daily update on everything Northeast Ohio with Stephanie Haney.
Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now on this Wednesday, July 13th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thank you for being here for the top stories here in Northeast Ohio, the stories that matter most to you in this area. These are the stories that you are clicking on, reading, and sharing across our website and our app. And we start this afternoon with a press conference that was held by the family of Jayland Walker. Remember, he's the 25-year-old person who was shot and killed on June 27th by 8 Akron police officers. We do know at the time of his killing, he was not armed, but police say there was a gun that was later found in his vehicle, which he had abandoned and was running from at the time of his shooting. So following the funeral that was held in Akron for Jalen Walker today, the representation for his family and others held a press conference. At the press conference, the people who spoke included Bobby DiCello, Ken Abarno, and Paige White. Those are of DiCello, Levitt, Gutzler, the Walker family's legal counsel. And then other guests were also available. We have that full press conference on WKYC.com. The family was not available to speak to the media. This is all part of what the family say they are doing in order to hold the city and the police department accountable and peacefully drive change. And they say that this is just the beginning. So that press conference was held at the night stage at the Akron Civic Theater. And the press conference was immediately following the funeral that was held for Jayland Walker. And this is as the Akron City Council passed legislation to observe today, Wednesday, July 13th, as a day of mourning for Walker and his family. The funeral began at 10 a.m. with visitation hours, and then the services began at 1 p.m. At 1 p.m., we did start streaming those services. So if you were not able to pay respects or observe those services as they were happening, we do have that on WKYC.com. Now we have an update on a story that caught national attention out of Columbus. A Columbus man has been charged with impregnating a 10-year-old girl and raping her. This is the story of the girl who had to travel to Indiana for an abortion that had garnered media attention. So this is according to court records obtained by TEM TV, which is a partner station of WKYC down in Columbus. 27-year-old Gershon Fuentes has been charged with 1 count of rape involving the 10-year-old victim. Court records report that it was on June 22nd when it was entered into the record that there was a rape reported from the Columbus Division of Police. On July 6th, the victim identified Fuentes to authorities as the person who raped her, and it was 6 days later that detectives served Fuentes with a search warrant for a saliva sample. He was taken to police headquarters for an interview where he confessed to raping the victim. That's according to those documents. So he appeared in court today and was given a $2 million bond. He's currently in the Franklin County Jail. Now, according to the Dispatch, a detective testified at Fuentes' arraignment that the victim underwent a medical abortion on June 30th. During an appearance on Fox News, Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost said that the story was being used as a political weapon and that the victim could have had an abortion in Ohio. However, that does not fall in line with the facts of the laws here in Ohio. In response to his comments, Ohio Democratic Party Chair Elizabeth Walters says there is no exception for rape or incest under the law that is in effect. That is the so-called heartbeat law. And the way the heartbeat law works is at the moment where cardiac activity can be detected in a fetus, which doctors disagree on whether that can be considered a heartbeat, at that moment, an abortion cannot be conducted in the state of Ohio. That is often as early as 6 weeks. There were some reports that said in this case it was 6 weeks and 3 days past conception. So there were reports out of media in Indiana that the 10-year-old girl then had to go to Indiana in order to medically abort that pregnancy. In a statement to 10 TV on Wednesday, Attorney General Yost said the following: "My heart aches for the pain suffered by this young child. I am grateful for the diligent work of the Columbus Police Department in securing a confession and getting a rapist off the street. Justice must be served, and BCI stands ready to support law enforcement across Ohio putting these criminals behind bars. Did not make a comment, though, on the reports that the child had to go to Indiana for a medical abortion under Ohio's current abortion framework, which went into effect hours after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade with its decision in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. Now, today in Willoughby, a cold case was solved, providing some resolution for a family, but not as much resolution as they may have hoped. A man identified as Stephen Joseph Simcak was identified as the killer in a 1980 murder of a woman named Nadine Madger. And in announcing this, Police Chief Jim Schultz said that today is a day they thought would never come. It was more than 42 years ago that this killing happened, and it was through DNA analysis that Stephen Joseph Simcak was identified as the killer. This is 4 years after he died in 2018, so Simcak, again, no longer alive. It was January 11th, 1980, when Nadine was found by her husband Mark with more than 40 stab wounds. This was in their apartment dining room on Grove Avenue in Willoughby, and their 6-month-old son at the time was not harmed, left in a nearby crib. So the police chief said that the clothing worn by Nadine at the time had proven to be important in solving the crime. The shirt was analyzed by the Lake County Crime Lab in 1996. It had not only Nadine's blood, but the blood of another source, which was male DNA. And they said their investigation determined that that indicated the killer had been injured during the time of the assault and murdering Nadine. So in 2014, authorities say Ohio BCI analyzed the shirt and developed information on the bloodstain pattern. And then after decades of following the case, the police chief said that the department concluded through familial DNA that Simcak is the person who killed Nadine. Here's what we know about him. He worked for Lincoln Electric. He only missed 1 day of work in 1980, which is the day that Nadine was murdered. The police chief said he was supposed to be in for the third shift, but he called in sick with the flu. Here's what else we know about Simcak. He graduated from Benedictine High School in 1957. He was in the Marines in the late 1950s. He lived in Eastlake from 1963 to 2002, and then he lived in New York from 2002 to 2018, married to the same woman from 1963 until he died in 2018. He retired from Lincoln Electric in 2002 after 37 years. No other criminal history. Now, the son of Nadine and Mark, Dan, was there at the press conference today. Here's what Dan had to say. I am angry and upset that Stephen passed away as a free and carefree citizen before he could be identified as well as caught, in turn getting the ability for questions to be asked and justice to be served. And Mark also had choice words, which you can read on WKYC.com, for the killer, again, who is no longer with us. So what's next? The police chief says they don't know why this happened. A lot of questions. They don't know if he knew her, if he did know her, how he knew her, why he picked that apartment, why it happened on that day. So those are questions that they're trying to answer. So they're asking anyone with information about this person, about this killing, to call the Willoughby Police Department Detective Bureau. That number is 440-953-4210. The police chief said the hope is that bringing this update to the public, there might be someone who can provide more information about the case. This is another one of those situations where someone had submitted their DNA. Again, familial DNA, family DNA is what closed this cold case after 42 years. Now we have to share some sad news out of MGM Northfield Park. A harness racing horse drowned after an event at the park. This was on Monday night. According to Freddie Hudson, who is the CEO of the U.S. Harness Racing Alumni Association, the horse, which was named Alfred Hanover, had just finished in the second race of the night. He finished second place in the second race of the night, and the horse was being unhooked from the race bike, but a tractor nearby scared the horse. The horse broke away, ran into a nearby pond, and that is where the horse drowned. Now, according to MGM Northfield Park officials, a fence around the water retention pond is supposed to be finished next week, a week too late for this poor horse that passed away on Monday. And at this time, MGM officials are working directly with the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association and Ohio Racing on this drowning. Now let's turn to more information that you need to know about COVID-19 here in Ohio. We've heard about the new strains of COVID-19. People are wondering which are affecting Northeast Ohio. Well, according to Dr. Donald Dumford, who's the medical director of infection prevention of Cleveland Clinic Akron General, It's the BA.5 that is the most infectious right now in the U.S. Health experts say it spreads easily, it evades tests, and is reinfecting people. This is something that I've been curious about for a while as these variants emerge and the COVID-19 virus, as it mutates, are the tests that we have able to detect it. Well, doctors are saying this one, not detectable on the test, but the symptoms are similar to prior strains: sore throat, fever, and runny nose. And according to Dr. Dumford, the new variants aren't necessarily making people sicker. He says it's been mostly mild infections because he thinks at this point most people have had exposure to either COVID-19 or to vaccines, sometimes both. Another variant that is picking up steam is the BA.2.75, and that is spreading in India at the moment. They've seen a quadrupling of daily case count in India, and it seems like early results are more transmissible, but not more severe. So not quite sure when that will hit Ohio. It's too early to tell, but Dr. Dumford says the more people who are vaccinated, the better chance of a mild case when it actually does reach us. Now let's turn to sports, because there is some trade talk surrounding Collin Sexton. According to Bleacher Report's Jake Fisher, the Utah Jazz have explored a trade that would send Mike Conley Jr. to the Cavaliers for Collin Sexton. Now, he also points out there are complications for both teams, notably that the Cavs don't appear to need another point guard, and it seems unlikely that Conley would be the returning player that Cleveland would prioritize if talks got some traction. This is because they had just signed All-Star Darius Garland to the biggest contract in team history, 5 years, $193 million. Also, veteran Ricky Rubio for $18.4 million earlier this summer. It's also worth noting that Rubio won't be able to play likely until the 2022-23 season because he's recovering from a torn ACL. Later in the season, mind you, because of that torn ACL. But Conley's $22.68 million salary this upcoming season and a partially guaranteed $24.36 million salary for the following year would be a pretty expensive stopgap in the meantime there. Sexton, however, he's a 23-year-old. He remains a restricted free agent, so Cleveland has the ability to match any offer sheet that he signs with another team. At this point, not a lot of movement for him. He could return to the Cavs on a one-year, $7.2 million qualifying offer and then become an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2023. But again, there have been talks, so we have to let you know about it. Here's something else in case you were curious about what number Cleveland linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah will be wearing next year. You know, he was number 6 before in college, and then Baker Mayfield rolled into town, so he's been wearing number 28. Well, he put on his Instagram story, for everyone that wants to know, I'll be number 28 this year because number 6 seemingly available because Baker Mayfield has now been traded to the Carolina Panthers. Whole nother storyline about what number Baker will be wearing in Carolina, but let's focus on the Browns right now. So it's not necessarily the point that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah just got used to wearing number 28. The NFL has this rule that if you're going to change your number and you don't give a one-year notice, you have to buy all of the remaining retail jerseys of the previous number at full retail price. Right now, Fanatics.com shows 2 versions of the number 28 jersey for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. One costs about $130, the other one costs about $160. You can see how that would be very expensive if you wanted to change to number 6. But you can change your number for free if you give the league 1 year of notice. So that might be what happens for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah next year. We'll see what happens. At least this year he'll still be wearing number 28. Speaking of the Browns legend Joe Thomas posted a video of his daughter doing something pretty incredible. She is reeling in a huge fish on the Lake of the Woods in northern Minnesota. She's 9 years old. Her name is Logan. And I have to say, you can tell that Joe Thomas is very excited as a dad in this video because the moment it happens, she's reeling this in, she's getting help with someone from a net, he completely drops the camera. It is some serious dad camera work, but you can hear his excitement. He's so excited. There's a great photo of this huge fish of them. We've got it on WKYC.com. You have to check it out. The entire time she's reeling it in, he's saying, unbelievable, oh my gosh, holy cow. You can feel his excitement for her, and it is very sweet, and you should check it out, and it's on WKYC.com. One more thing to let you know before we go here. If you are a lottery player, no, you did not win the Mega Millions $440 million jackpot on Tuesday night because no one won the jackpot. Someone in Illinois did match 5 numbers to win $1 million, but no one won that jackpot. This is the 10th largest in the game's history because no one has gotten the jackpot since mid-April. So it's growing and growing and growing. So if you want to play again, the estimated jackpot for Friday is now $480 million, now making it the 10th largest jackpot in the game's history. Big money. If you've been following my journey, yes, I am still playing the Powerball. No, I have not won it. Someone did recently win the Powerball jackpot. They won it in Vermont. That was back at the end of June. So tonight's Powerball jackpot is $66 million, and that's what I'll be playing. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Wednesday, July 13th. I'll see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.
Thanks for listening to 3 News Now with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now so you never miss an update, and find more on everything you heard here on WKYC.com and in the WKYC app.